The theme of our lecture is Hermeneutic Concepts of Text, Understanding and Interpretation, Lecture 13. Questions to be discussed today. Hermeneutic concepts of literary text, the basic concepts of receptive aesthetics, discourse analysis as a procedure for comprehending the text. In art, its communicative side is inherently important. Art is included in communication between people. The works are oriented by their authors to someone else's perception. They are addressed to someone. An original discussion of the problems of hermeneutics was undertaken by Bakhtin, having developed the concept of dialogicity. Dialogue is the openness of the consciousness and behavior of a person to the surrounding reality, his readiness for communication. The dominant principle of human existence, Bakhtin believed, is interpersonal communication. To be means to communicate. Dialogue communication can be direct and indirect text, contact of the reader with the author. In a dialogue with the author, the reader, according to Bakhtin, overcomes the alien stranger, seeks to go deeper into the personality of the creator of the work and seeks to enrich himself with the experience of another person. Bakhtin argued that dialogue is the foundation of humanitarian disciplines and artistic creation. Here, the utterances are directed to another full-fledged consciousness, and there is an activity of questioning, provoking, answering, agreeing, objecting, etc. Bakhtin argues that it is a different matter, natural and mathematical sciences, where mute things are comprehended. The accuracy of knowledge is important here. The scientists call this attitude to reality monological. The considered provisions of hermeneutics shed light on the laws of perception of literary and on its subject, reader and author. In perceiving activity, it is legitimate to distinguish two sides. In the perception of a literary work, the living and unsophisticated, non-analytical, holistic response is inherently important above all. A similar idea regarding the theater was expressed by Ilyinsky. According to him, the cultural viewer is like a child. The true culture of the viewer is expressed in a direct, free reaction to what he sees and hears in the theater, responding to the will of the soul and heart. At the same time, the reader seeks to be aware of the impressions received, to think over what he read, to understand the reasons for the emotion he has experienced. Such is a secondary but also very important aspect of the perception of a work of art. The need for the interpretation of works organically grows out of living responses to it. The reader who does not think at all and who seeks in the read only a reason for reasoning is limited in his own way. Skaftimov emphasized the reader's dependence on the author. No matter how much we talk about the reader's creativity in the perception of an artwork, we still know that reader's creativity is secondary. It is determined by the object of perception. The reader is still led by the author, and he requires obedience in following his creative path. And a good reader is one who knows how to understand the author and give himself to the author. For dialogue meetings in which the reader to take place, he needs both an aesthetic taste and a lively interest in the writer in his works, and the ability to directly feel their artistic merit. At the same time, reading is work and creativity. Speth emphasizes the symbolic character of the work. Expressed by science, the internal meaning of the work initially arises in the poet's soul. However, it subsequently renounces it and lives its own life. Understanding this does not come down to the individual psychology of the author. It is included in the historical process, which is inconceivable without community and communication. Speth emphasized that the word is primarily a message and a means of communication. In this function, it is the archetype of culture. The word is able to play this role since it is a structure. In other words, understanding the word as an archetype of culture is based on the idea of structurality. Therefore, spirit and culture are fundamentally structural. Perceiving their own properties, the subsystems, work, reader, tradition, work, etc., are included in the general system of systems. Basic concepts of receptive aesthetics. Receptive aesthetics, one of the directions of modern Western philosophy and aesthetics, formed in the late 60s of a secondary century. The first textual documents of receptive aesthetics are considered theses Yaos, which argue that art cannot be understood referring only to an artistic work as a result of creativity. The Constant School sought to change literary analysis by introducing a new independent instance, the reader, into the scheme of the literary and historical process. In receptive aesthetics, the product-reader subsystem is brought to the forefront. Receptive aesthetics is primarily aimed at studying the reader's previous literary experience. Thank you for your attention.